She walked through the world with empty hands, yet carried a treasure no gold could buy. Every glance, every gentle word, was well stored in silence. The world overlooked her modesty, but I saw the empire of love she built. Without a single brick of possession, she had nothing the world would praise. No crowns, no titles, no lavish gowns. But when she smiled, the air itself seemed richer, and hearts that had known emptiness found warmth in her presence. Her mornings began before the sun dared rise. Her nights ended long after the moon had slept. Through toil and tears, she molded strength without boasting, and patience became her second skin. People spoke of riches and fame, yet she taught me that wealth is measured not by what you hold, but by what you give freely. Her love was a river, quiet, unassuming, flowing into every crevice of life, making barren hearts bloom, making weary souls rest. She bore the weight of years, without complaint, carrying invisible burdens that would have crushed lesser spirits. Yet her hands, though empty of worldly possessions, were full of devotion, warmth, and unshakable courage. Even in moments when the world ignored her, she never questioned her worth. Her life was a testament to the quiet, unseen power of resilience, a power that cannot be stolen, nor measured in coins. She owned nothing, yet she owned my entire being. And in that simple, unannounced truth, I discovered that the most profound treasures are invisible to the eyes, yet eternal to the heart. She spoke little, yet every word she whispered carried the weight of lifetimes. Her silence was not emptiness, but a library of experience, lessons learned through pain, and love given without measure. She faced the cruelty of the world with nothing but her own heart. Every disappointment tried to break her, yet she remained unshaken, as if life itself was merely testing how much beauty a soul could hold. Her days were long, filled with labor that never counted for applause. Her nights were longer, filled with prayers that never demanded recognition. Yet, in her quiet acts, she taught those who watched her unknowingly the true meaning of courage. She bore the emptiness around her, without letting it enter her spirit. Hunger, loss, loneliness, these were her companions, yet she never allowed them to define her. She grew rich in empathy, in patience, in a love so deep it could not be exhausted by time or misfortune. Her hands, worn and weathered, spoke more than her lips ever could. They fed, cleaned, comforted, mended, and embraced. Every line in her palms was a map of sacrifices unseen, of strength unpraised, of resilience perfected in solitude. She never demanded attention, never asked for her worth to be declared. She was a treasure the world overlooked. Yet in my eyes, she was the only fortune that mattered. No crown, no jewel, no title could ever match the richness she carried in her being. Even when storms raged around her, she did not bend in bitterness. She bent in kindness. She bent in patience. She bent in understanding. And in every bend, she showed me that true power is measured not in victories, but in how gracefully one endures. She owned nothing, yet she owned everything that mattered. Every heartbeat she inspired, every tear she wiped, every hope she preserved, all of it belonged to her. And through her, I learned that love, when pure, becomes wealth beyond measure. She carried the weight of years, without letting them harden her spirit. Every sorrow, every struggle, was absorbed silently, transformed into patience, and offered back as love. Her life was a mosaic of unseen victories, moments when she chose forgiveness over bitterness, compassion over judgment, and endurance over despair. Each choice was a brushstroke, painting a portrait of resilience that the world rarely noticed. She woke each morning with determination. Though her body begged for rest, she fed not only the hunger of those around her, but also the longing for comfort, for care, for reassurance. Her generosity was not loud. It was quiet, relentless, like sunlight spilling through a crack in the wall. She faced the indifference of the world without surrendering her essence. People ignored her struggles, misunderstood her silence, yet she remained a fortress of grace. Her strength did not demand attention, but it drew the eyes of those wise enough to see. Her love was not bound by fairness or expectation. It flowed freely, covering flaws, healing wounds, softening hearts. Even when she received little in return, she did not waver. For her, love was not a transaction. It was an offering, pure and unearned. She lived through hardship that would have broken many, yet she remained tender, unafraid to care deeply, unashamed to hope again. Her courage was not loud. It whispered to those who listened, telling them that endurance is nobility, and kindness is a crown. She bore her scars openly, not as proof of suffering, but as testimony of survival. Every wrinkle, every mark, was a story, a lesson of humility, a map of battles fought silently, and won without applause. She owned nothing the world could see, yet possessed treasures invisible to eyes, immeasurable in value, yet eternal in effect. Through her I learned that true wealth is not counted in coins, but in patience, courage, and the unwavering capacity to love. She moved through life like a silent storm, unseen by many, yet felt deeply by those who mattered. Her presence was a quiet force, calming chaos, softening hardened hearts, and teaching patience. Without a single word, she faced trials that demanded surrender, yet she never yielded. Each struggle became a lesson, carved into her soul, making her stronger, but never bitter. Her spirit remained tender. Her love remained unwavering. She carried the pain of the past, without allowing it to define her. Mistakes, betrayals, losses, they all shaped her, but never imprisoned her. She chose to rise each day, to smile, to care, to forgive, and to hope, even when hope seemed distant. Her hands, though roughened by labor, were soft in their touch, generous in their giving. She nurtured, comforted, and healed, with a devotion that the world cannot quantify. She gave without keeping score, without expectation, without hesitation. Her heart understood suffering, yet it remained open. She taught me that vulnerability is not weakness, that patience is not resignation, and that love is not measured by wealth, but by its depth and persistence. She endured silence, neglect, and indifference, but never allowed them to cloud her light. She remained a beacon of hope, a reminder that strength and gentleness can coexist, that resilience can be quiet, and that true love does not ask for recognition. She owned nothing material, yet her life was abundant. Her laughter, her care, her wisdom, and her quiet endurance were treasures beyond measure. Through her, I discovered that the richest souls often come from the humblest lives. She bore the weight of the world without ever asking for ease. Her strength was quiet, her courage invisible, but it shaped every life that crossed her path. Even when overlooked, she continued to give. Every act of kindness was deliberate, every gesture a testament to the love she carried more abundantly than anyone could see. She lived through hardships that would have crushed others, yet she rose each time, unbroken, undaunted, with a heart that refused to harden. Her soul remained soft, her spirit gentle, and her love unstoppable. The world often failed to notice her, but I did. I watched her strength, her patience, her unwavering devotion. I saw how she gave without limit, how she loved without condition, and how she remained a refuge for those in need. She taught me that true wealth is not measured by possession, but by generosity of heart, that enduring love can thrive without admiration, and that resilience can be the quietest form of power. Her life was a poem, written not in words, but in acts of devotion, in silent courage, in unwavering faith and love. She did not seek recognition. She only sought to live well, to love fully, and to leave a legacy that no riches could surpass. Through her I learned that the most profound treasures are invisible, eternal, and freely given. She owned nothing the world could take, yet in her simplicity, she was richer than any kingdom. She carried the weight of decades, without ever letting it bend her soul. Every sorrow, every unspoken pain, was transformed into patience, resilience, and quiet courage. She bore the burdens of life, without complaint, without announcement, yet with every act, she demonstrated the true measure of strength. Her hands, though aged and worn, were instruments of care. They healed, nurtured, and comforted. Without expectation, she gave not because she had much, but because her heart overflowed with generosity that knew no bounds. Even in moments of despair, she refused to surrender. The world may have been harsh, the nights may have been long, yet she rose each day, placing hope above hardship, love above bitterness, grace above grief. Her eyes held the wisdom of years, silent and profound. They had witnessed suffering, and yet refused to harden. They had seen betrayal and loss, but still chose compassion. Her gaze was a refuge, a quiet sanctuary, where honesty and love thrived. Without judgment, she taught the most profound lessons, without ever speaking them. Strength could be gentle, love could be unconditional, resilience did not demand applause. True wealth was measured, not in what one possessed, but in what one gave freely. And she was a living testament to that eternal truth. Her life was not decorated with riches, yet every day was rich in meaning. Every smile, every act of care, every sacrifice and prayer was a treasure, a proof that love, patience, and courage create wealth the world cannot take away. Even when the world overlooked her, she never doubted her worth. She understood that value is not defined by attention, recognition, or possessions. Her strength was quiet, her love was infinite, and her presence was the kind of wealth that could never be stolen. She owned nothing that the world admired, yet she possessed everything that truly mattered. And through knowing her, I learned that greatness often comes not in display, but in endurance and kindness, and in the unwavering devotion of a heart that gives fully, without asking for return. She moved through life like a quiet storm, unseen by most, yet leaving marks that time could never erase. Her presence was not loud, but it commanded respect, not through force, but through the depth of her love. Every day she chose patience, even when the world was impatient. Every night she whispered prayers for those who had forgotten to hope. Her love was steady, a river carving canyons in the hearts of those who knew her. She bore loss without bitterness, sorrow without complaint, and hardship without surrender. Her courage was quiet, her strength invisible, yet it held together the fragile pieces of lives around her. Even when ignored, she remained generous. Her kindness was not measured by recognition or reward. It flowed freely, unconditional, as natural as breathing. She taught that true power is found in gentleness, that true wealth is measured by the love one gives, and that endurance can be more beautiful than any crown or title. Her hands worked tirelessly. Her heart carried the burdens of many, and yet she never asked for thanks, for admiration, or for acknowledgement. She gave fully, without expectation, without reservation, because her soul knew that love is its own reward. Through her example, I learned that strength is silent, that patience is nobility, and that devotion requires no applause. She owned nothing material, yet in my life, she became everything. Her story is written, not in headlines, not in wealth, but in the quiet echoes of love, resilience, and courage. And in knowing her, I discovered the true meaning of richness and devotion, of what it means to live with a heart that gives endlessly, without seeking return. She endured the weight of years, without allowing it to bend her spirit. Every hardship, every unspoken pain, was absorbed silently, transformed into strength, and returned as love. For those who could see it, her days were long, filled with work that went unnoticed. Yet she continued with unwavering devotion. She fed not only bodies, but hearts and souls as well, offering comfort, care, and warmth, without expecting recognition. Even when life was unkind, she remained unshaken. Loss, betrayal, and disappointment never hardened her heart. Her resilience was quiet, yet unbreakable, like roots deep beneath the soil, holding firm when storms passed above. Her love was not transactional. It asked for nothing, yet gave everything. It healed without demand, sustained without reward, and endured without complaint. Through her I learned that the purest forms of devotion are silent, constant, and unconditional. She never needed praise. She never sought attention. Her value was not in possessions, titles, or wealth, but in the unseen impact she left on those who opened their eyes to her. Her legacy was carved in hearts, etched in the quiet moments that speak louder than words. She taught me patience, compassion, and humility. She taught that strength can coexist with tenderness, that love does not demand recognition, and that endurance can be its own reward. She owned nothing the world admired, yet she possessed all that mattered. Through her, I discovered that richness is not measured by gold or silver, but by the depth of care, the constancy of devotion, and the generosity of heart. Her life is a testament to the invisible power of love, to the quiet heroism of patience, and to the endless wealth found in a heart that gives freely, without asking for return. She walked through life as if carrying invisible treasures, though the world saw only emptiness. Every step she took was grounded in love, every choice guided by care, every moment a lesson in devotion. Her hands, though worn and tired, were instruments of generosity. They fed, healed, comforted, and held steady even when the weight of the world threatened to break her. Each line on her palms told a story of sacrifice, of battles fought silently, and of courage unannounced. She faced disappointment with grace, and sorrow with quiet strength. Even when ignored by the world, she continued to give, to nurture, to love, without expectation, without hesitation. Her life was a river of patience, flowing steadily, shaping the hearts of those around her, even if they never acknowledged it. She taught that true wealth is not measured in coins, titles, or worldly recognition. It is measured in the depth of compassion, the persistence of love, and the courage to endure. Without complaint, she owned nothing the world could claim. Yet she possessed all that truly matters. Her presence was a refuge, her spirit a sanctuary. She carried burdens that would have crushed many, yet remained tender, hopeful, and unwavering. Her legacy was not written in accolades, but in lives touched, in hearts healed, and in love that knew no bounds. Through her I learned that the greatest treasures cannot be seen or touched, but felt in the soul. Her life, though humble in appearance, was monumental in essence, teaching that strength, love, and patience are the riches that outlast time and endure beyond sight. She bore a lifetime of struggles, without ever letting them harden her heart. Each scar, each tear, each silent sacrifice was a testament to the depth of her love. She gave without expectation, nurtured without recognition, and loved without condition. Even when the world failed to notice her, she remained steadfast, her spirit unshakable, her heart overflowing with care. Through her I learned that greatness is not loud, that power can be gentle, and that true wealth resides in the purity of devotion. Her hands, though worn, held more value than the richest treasures. Her words, though few, healed more wounds than any spoken speech. Her presence alone was a comfort to the weary, a hope to the hopeless, a light in the darkest hours. She owned nothing the world admired, yet possessed everything that mattered. She showed that love is the only wealth that grows when shared, and patience is the strongest armor against the storms of life. And now, as I reflect on her life, I realize that the richest souls often belong to the humblest bodies. Her story is not written in gold, but in hearts touched, in lives changed, and in the enduring power of selfless love. If her life touched you, if her love inspired you, let your words be seen. Comment below and share how this story made you feel, so her quiet strength can continue to shine through all of us.